Hello, welcome to some photos and videos of the birds and other creatures and flowers and trees and plants that I saw and photographed or recorded video of during my walk around the lake at Forest Lake on the 12th of January 2022. There's an ibis right up on top of the tree and a few cormorants on the dead branches of the dead tree. The two different types of egrets are the intermediate egret with the yellow beaks and cattle egrets. And the cattle egrets have got their breeding plumage on, which makes them an orangish colour, otherwise they should be just pure white. The cattle egrets have got shorter necks than the intermediate egrets. And we've got some water dragons there as well. That's a pair of little corellas there. They're a type of cockatoo. And that is a rear view of a sulphur-crested cockatoo. And some dusky moorhens with chicks. There's 3 chicks there. A iconic sight of a pair of kookaburras sitting up high in a gum tree. The egret chicks are growing up now. The white ones with the short necks are cattle egret chicks. And that's a cattle egret with its breeding plumage. There's a few cockatoos on the ground, sulphur-crested cockatoos and little corellas. That's a corella. There's cockatoos, the sulphur-crested at the back. There's a sulphur-crested cockatoo again. There's also cockatoos in the trees above the water lilies. Oh, and that's a dusky moorhen. And there's a swamp hen. The swamp hens are out with their chicks today. Look, there's a chick there, I think. I think that's one of the chicks constantly cheeping loudly. Some of the chicks are quite big and some are still very tiny. They keep hatching more. That's a chick. There's a whole lot of bees in that water lily flower. Little black Australian native bees and a lone European honeybee by the look of it. A different view of the egret tree. See, some of them have got longer necks. They're the intermediate egrets. That used to be the ibis domain, but the egrets sort of took over. The ibis are sticking around there. There's a couple of black swans. They're a bit far off to get a good photo of them, but they're there. There's the swans again. There's only one there, I think. Gradually leaving the egrets behind as I continue my walk. That little patch of grass there, that's a whole lot of little tiny swamp hen chicks vanished into that hole, and you'd never even know they were there, but they all got in there when they saw me coming. Next thing, I came upon a collection of Australian water dragons of various sizes. Some of them were very young and small, but there was one huge old male there. You can tell it's a male by the red on its chest. And at first I didn't even see him. He was so well camouflaged. But I got some good shots of him once I worked out where he was. And he just sat there. He didn't worry about running away from me at all. The little ones tend to scurry off when they see you coming. When I was photographing that big old water dragon, I heard a commotion above my head and looked up and saw a peewee with a beak full of what I thought might be nesting materials. It's a sort of a pergola thing, just yellow timber framework with no actual roof. The birds on top of the building. A peewee. It was jumping around, squawking and calling like a peewee does. Had a beak full of what I thought was nest building material. There was another bird nearby, so I suspect it was a pair of them building a nest. The other one was calling, and they seemed to be communicating with each other. And here's the swamp hens with a whole lot of really tiny chicks. That's about the size of the chicks that vanished into that grass that we saw earlier. This Agapanthus was in flower a few weeks ago, and now it's just setting seed by the look of it. And there was a cormorant just dived under the water. When I took that photo, I just missed it. And then I was so excited, I finally got a few photos of this little bird. It's very small and it's got massively huge feet, and it's called a comb-crested jacana. It's about in the middle of the screen, about halfway up, or a bit over halfway up. You can see it moving there. That's the little jacana. That's how far away from it I was, and it's so small. People who have been watching birds at the lakes for years haven't seen one there before. I'd seen it for a few weeks but hadn't been able to get any photos of it. But I finally managed to get some. This is as close as I could get. It's got such long toes. The toes are much longer than the other water birds we see, and it can run around on the lily pads. Looks like it's walking on water. And that is a darter. Now, this is not a bee, it's a hoverfly, and since I've identified it, I've discovered that hoverflies are now becoming more and more important as pollinators. Those flat rocks are a really good way to walk across there. I used to walk across there once upon a time, but I'm too worried that I might fall or drop my camera going across or something. It's a dusky moorhen and a pond with lots of reflections. Since I don't walk across those rocks anymore, so I keep walking and get photos of all these extra flowers that I see along the path towards the bridge. Then I cross the bridge, and it's a road bridge, but it's got a footpath. As I finished crossing the bridge, I looked down and saw this duck. It's new. I haven't seen it at the lake before. This is a small tree just at the end of the bridge. I did a bit of looking up. It's a popular plant in gardens, and I was surprised to discover that it is an Australian native, and it's called a Lasiandra, although you often see a very similar variety which people refer to as Tibricina. And that is a grevillea. And there's the bridge, and you can see the duck on the left-hand side there, just there behind the tree. I just looked back and took a snap of the flowers I've just walked past. And there's a dusky moorhen with a chick there near her. Now this is the pair of ducks that's been there for ages now. I think they've only survived because somebody keeps feeding them. And that's a tortoise sitting on a rock. Dusky moorhen with a chick behind her. And then when I sat on the seat, I found that pile of feathers. Looked like might have been pigeon feathers. There's usually a whole lot of pigeons around that area, but I didn't see any on that day. There's a darter just poked its head up from the water. I think it just came up for breath because it dived again straight away, searching for its lunch. That little building with the red tiled roof in the distance there, that's where I go to get the closest shots of the egrets when I first start my walk. And now we're getting close to the end of the video. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have enjoyed it, it would be greatly appreciated if you would give it a like, as that would help the channel get put out there for more people to see, and it would encourage me to make more of these videos, and that would be good if you enjoyed watching them. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.